this is not a movie that should have been made. This is a movie that has its first-time director. He directed previously, before this, he directed 2 short films and worked as a visual effects director on a bunch of other things. Not even movies, just like things. It is a character whose last movie was X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was like one of the worst comic book movies of all time. It has Ryan Reynolds in it, who is superhero movie Poison with Green Lantern, X-Men Origins Wolverine, R.I.P.D.
Right.
Was he in X-Men
Blade Trinity?
Origins?
Yes, he was. He was as Deadpool.
Was he the only one in Blade? He was only in Blade Trinity. He wasn't in the
Yes,
first
he wasn't in
two.
the other ones. So
What's Green
every time
Lantern
he
Marvel?
No, it was DC. But
right.
every time he's in a comic book movie, it's horrible. But this movie is really good. This is actually one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, I would actually say that it's a really, really good movie.
Where does it rank for you?
Yeah,
Just tell me the movie below it and above it.
I'm not really sure because there's been a lot.
Yeah. Because I'm
I
asking you to count the
Yeah.
X-Men movies as well.
Okay. Like the Guardians is my number 1,
Right.
and I guess I would put Winter Soldier under that. But I'll put it at like 4 maybe.
This is my favorite.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Like I like the X-Men movies. It's just I like them when I'm watching them.
Right.
I don't really care about them after the fact. Like
Yeah.
I'll think about X2 every now and then.
For me, it's first class.
Yeah. But this is one of the first times in a while where I've watched a superhero movie and I was like, this is not something that I usually see.
Right. On that note, and on Kyle's note about this being his favorite.
Yeah.
You remember when you were harping on about Kyle? This was about superhero fatigue, superhero media fatigue.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty much what Damon and I meant when I said that. You might be right, but there's also the fact that it's such a flexible genre that you can get something like this,
Yeah.
which is unlike anything you've ever seen before.
But as we say that, it's a different superhero movie.
Right.
But it is.
That's a superhero movie.
As it
Well,
reminds us multiple times.
Yes, but there are very familiar beats
Right.
that you see in other superhero movies. This is a beat for beat origin story.
I don't know about that. I think it handles the origin very well.
Well,
very well.
It does. It's just that the idea of villain and then getting the girl, and
Yeah.
then the last scene is you have to fight the villain to get the girl, and then
Yeah, but instead of going ABC, it goes
Yeah.
BAC.
right.
that.
Okay, so the narrative, the sequencing is different.
Yeah, it keeps when you watch an origin story, you're saying, oh, I'm already familiar that this is
Yeah.
the origin, this is the learning period, and then this is when you get good, and this is when we get the action that we want to see.
Right.
You pretty much start with that action, then go back and forth,
Yeah,
and that way you're
it's-
never really bogged down by the crap that's in every origin.
It's
movie.
actually treated like how a comic book does origins in
Yeah.
that sense. Yeah. Because, and we should get into it. So really, the plot of the movie is it's kind of hard to just get into. It's really about the character of Deadpool. So the movie
Right.
is pretty much trying to tell you as much about the character as it can. Basically, Deadpool is this super assassin who is really, really annoying, witty. He talks a lot. He has swords. He has guns, and what?
virtually indestructible.
Yes, and
It's from
he has a healing
anything.
factor a lot like Wolverine.
Whatever they did to me made me totally indestructible and completely
No,
unfuckable.
you look like the inside of other people's assholes.
I didn't ask to be super, and I'm no hero. But when you find out your worst enemy is after your best girl, the time has come to be a fucking superhero.
Right up Main Street. Hear the music.
I like the way they did that origin with the flashbacks.
Yeah.
But not really flashbacks.
Well, basically, what the movie is, you get the very first shot of the movie is this slow
That
mo.
was fucking amazing.
It's like a slow mo CG tableau, or you get to go in and out of this
Right.
really destructive scene, and later on you see how that scene plays out and how it got to that point.
And it kind of sets the tone of the film.
Yeah.
You see these really gruesome stuff.
Yeah.
They also seem like giving someone a wedgie, and
Also, the title cards are
And the music.
under the director it has some hack or
Right.
something like that, and with the writers the real heroes here are the writers. Cal, you're right. The music also is really a big part of this movie. But yeah, so it kind of hops around in time. It has flashbacks, and it has Deadpool, or Wade Wilson, the character played by Ryan Reynolds, and you see him throughout his life and how he got to where he is today. It's really, really interesting in that sense. But what I really liked about the movie is how it not only showed you what happened, but it showed you so much of how he was affected by it. So
Right.
with a character like Deadpool, where he's pretty much like comic relief, I guess,
Yeah.
this is like delving into the psyche of someone who always makes jokes all the time and showing how fucked up a person like that can be.
Yeah.
And I find it really has a balance with its darker, disturbing moments with its really funny moments. Because it will have moments where you're like, this is really fucked up.
Yeah.
But then the next scene, you're laughing for 5 minutes.
Yeah, for me, this is definitively, like, across all media, so comic books included.
Yeah.
For me, this is, like, the most comprehensive I've gotten a Deadpool origin ever.
Yeah. It's really good. The action is pretty good in it. There's lots of scenes which are like, it kind of shows off how creative they were with it. And I think Kyle actually on the ride home said that this movie is really well thought out. Like it feels like everything in it has a purpose. Like
Everything is relevant. They just took a whole year's worth of relevance and just turned it into some dark jokes.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, like
so
give me
with Jared,
yeah.
I'm here for the footlong, fully loaded.
Does that worry you a bit, though?
What?
Like,
Oh, that it will feel dated.
yeah, like, it's not going to age particularly well.
Like
For us, it will always be, like,
Yeah,
like,
because-
no matter how old I get, I'm going to look back at this movie and, like, oh, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
this, and this. But, like, if I have a kid or someone younger person and they watched it, they're, like, a lot of references are just going to go over their head.
Yeah, well, some of that will,
mean, but
will go over their
That's
heads.
the thing. I think those will become like Easter eggs to people way in the future. And then you'll have articles saying, like, you know that shit where it says, did you spot these references? All that shit where you read it, then you go watch the movie. and you're like,
Only
"Yo, shit."
2,000 kids will remember this.
Yeah.
It doesn't worry me because there's enough here that isn't referential. There's enough where it's like just like a pure gag, like Deadpool forgetting his bag of guns is funny, and there's like my favorite scene is where Deadpool is interrogating these two women, and he's like, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done that, and then this other woman comes and attacks him on the back, and he's like, it's so confusing, what do you do in this day? Do I shoot you? Is it more sexist to hurt you? Is it sexist to not hit you? Like he's very confused. So like things like that I feel like will keep this movie standing the test of time. But I mean, Deadpool has always been full of references, but the character still appeals to people.
Right.
I think something to say about this movie is that the CG is kind of
It's not cleverly disguised. It's stark. You can look at it. And
it
say,
doesn't
that's a
pretend-
shiny Deadpool.
yeah, it doesn't pretend to be like
It's not
crisp.
polished.
It's not like Iron Man where like it's photorealistic. But the reason why it doesn't bother me is because
I like that about it.
what?
When you're speaking about how he looks animated in certain scenes, eh?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind that at all.
Okay.
I really didn't.
Yeah, it
because
kind of-
made the film feel like, because the film on a whole felt like a parody.
Right,
like
right,
almost
right.
really good parodies.
Yeah, so it wasn't
So-
taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I basically was like, I felt like that was okay because a lot of the things that are in those scenes, it's more about how outrageous it is rather than how it
Yes.
looks. Yeah. But I like how the movie plays with like certain superhero tropes and things. Go ahead.
What I was going to say, what just popped up, was that back to the whole CG note, it made it feel more like how a comic would be drawn.
Yeah.
Because the way this, there are certain times when they
Right.
would stop the frame
Mm-hmm.
and he's mid-air,
Right.
and like, they're like, you know how they draw the comics and they show you even the most relevant parts.
Like mid-action, the most
Yeah,
the most
that's what
interesting.
you're doing, and the
Okay.
CG at that part just feels a bit unreal, so it really pulls off really good.
Yeah, I mean, the movie kind of does feel like
It uses its cheapness to its advantage.
Yeah, it does, but it feels like when they started out making comic book movies and they tried to be very, like, how do you adapt a comic book to a movie? Like, no one had done it before, so there were all these creative, inventive things about doing that, and this feels like they actually went out and tried and thought about what they could do with it. We should talk about the cast for a bit. Ryan Reynolds is like,
Typecast as Deadpool.
yeah,
really.
he's the only time that he has worked in the last like 6 or so years was in his first like 30 seconds as Deadpool in Origins Wolverine. Everything else has kind of been meh. But he's really, really good in the movie. He's like, there's jokes are constantly being streamed at you when it's not being really dark. And most of them really, really land. Other than that, you have TJ Miller,
Right.
who is like his best friend / sidekick, whatever. He's good in it. He like a lot of their scenes, I feel like they were improv, but it really
that
works in the
vibe.
movie. Yeah, they feel like friends. They feel
Yeah.
like, yeah. There's also Morena Baccarin. Is that her name?
I can't
She
pronounce
plays,
it either.
yeah, she plays Vanessa. She's pretty good. And she doesn't have much to do because she's kind of like she's there.
She's a love interest.
Yeah,
in this
yeah, pretty much. But you also have is his name Ed Skrein, the transporter
Transporter
man.
guy.
Yeah, who is playing a British villain who is unable to emote.
Right.
More than just smarmy British villain, which is his character, but that's also Ed Skrine's acting ability. So it perfectly fits him for the role. Other than that, there's also Colossus is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I had said I thought it was weird that they'd had Colossus in this because he's a big Silverman. And Deadpool famously hangs out with Cable, who is also kind of a Silverman. But I liked him in the movie a lot.
Right.
He kind of is like Boy Scout superhero type, which is what Deadpool isn't.
Yeah.
Captain
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like it's just something for Deadpool to be like, fuck that, I'm not part of that shit. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the movie except that I thought it was really surprising how good that I thought it was.
Especially since we kept on hearing that it was getting cancelled. Like this was in development, how it was
for
getting
a long
cancelled.
time. Yeah.
And the only reason why we kind of got this was the director. Someone leaked, quote unquote.
Yeah,
leaked
someone.
footage,
Yeah. There was like a test footage
right,
thing.
of a bit of the highway scene,
Right.
and people went crazy.
Yeah, and I mean,
That wasn't that long ago, actually.
there are times when no, it wasn't actually. And the way that the production went, it was very, very quick.
Yeah.
You said that the budget is like it feels like it's on a low budget, and it is, but it doesn't feel like it's on a low budget in a bad way.
Right.
It feels like that's a part of the movie's like soul.
Right. And even when you hear what the actual figure is, the budget's like, what was it, 17 or something?
Yeah.
You're thinking, even though it feels smaller than every other superhero movie you got in the last 10-ish years,
Yeah.
it's still like 70 mil is not a lot of money
Yeah,
to
right.
make a movie like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And it doesn't really, it feels, the sum of its parts, it feels more than that.
Yeah.
So you're getting a sequel is what I'm saying.
But yeah, for this character, I feel like this is like the best way they could have done it.
Right.
Um,
Before we forget,
Yeah.
like a big part of Deadpool's appeal is the whole,
fourth wall thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was used to like, I had a few misses, but mostly to like really good effect.
Yeah.
One of the lines that stand out to me since we're talking about getting a sequel is when they're naming him and they say, "Oh, Deadpool, that sounds like a franchise to me." Like things like that.
Yeah.
Or referring to Ryan Reynolds how he can't act, or things like just going on and on about things like that.
And like when he's talking about Wolverine, he talks about him in an Australian accent
Right.
because it's Hugh Jackman who plays Wolverine. And did you just get that?
No.
Okay. But yeah, it's really, really clever. But it's not clever in the sense that it's afraid to be lowbrow. Like there's a
Yeah.
bunch of really stupid jokes.
Yeah, there might be some of this humor if you're not into butts.
Yeah,
might not be
there's
the movie for you.
There's a few things like that.
Or
But
ponies.
or ponies. Or just a
crocs.
combination of both. Yeah, it's
Or baby hands touching dicks.
yeah, it's kind of it's crude and doesn't like make apologies for itself. Like it's irreverent and I really liked it. But we have a new rating system that we're gonna pull out for this movie.
From GTT.
Never
No,
pull
not
out.
really from GTT. So just to explain it, we have GOAT, which is greatest of all time, which is just like a movie which is above and beyond anything else. Big screen watch / I must leave it as big screen watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of that. Which means
Collect it.
you
Gotta catch them all.
You gotta go out to the theater to see it. It's one of those movies that you have to see in the theater. You have Stream It, which means you can wait for it to come on Netflix and then you can go watch it. You have Catch on Cable, which means
when it's there, then you're there, just watch it.
And then there's Don't Even Torrent, which is like
don't even steal this crap, man.
Yeah, it's a movie that doesn't even deserve you stealing it. So for me, I'm going to give Deadpool a
big screen watch.
I'm going to give it a big screen watch. It's not like it didn't change my life, so I'm not going to give it a greatest of all time, but it's a big screen watch for me. It's a good movie, and I feel like you should see it as soon as possible.
Same here, but fuck the people in the row behind me. Fuck off. This
is partially why we didn't do the review yesterday, because you were teeming with anger.
Oh, I was pissed.
Nick, I should say before you.
Fuck has an espion onesie.
Before the movie ends, you should wait until the credits are finished. There's a really funny reference if you're a big movie fan, especially of like John Hughes movies at the end. And Nick walked out before because he was too pissed off. But you should stay for that. And so that was Deadpool, and it was really good. You should go see it. So, that's that.